For some context, I met this man a few months ago. We started off as friends, just casually spending time together, and at first it felt really natural. Over time, we grew closer, and eventually, it became more than friends. Things seemed to progress in a positive direction, but from the very beginning, there's been this one issue that I can't seem to get past, and it's causing me an overwhelming amount of stress. I actually already ended the more than friends thing once because I got what people call the ick. My feelings shifted so suddenly that it scared me. I went from having strong, exciting feelings for him to feeling completely repulsed by him. And the main trigger was his breath. I know it sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, but I have such a heightened sensitivity to it that I can't ignore it. The strange thing is, it's not even the worst breath I've ever experienced. I've dated people in long-term relationships before who didn't always have perfect breath, and I could handle it back then. But with him, it's different. I feel hyper-aware of it, like I can't block it out, and I feel physically uncomfortable when I notice it. He brushes his teeth twice a day, usually, though he occasionally skips at night. Thankfully, not often. He doesn't floss or use mouthwash. His teeth are fairly white, but not perfectly straight, and when I look closely, I notice signs that he may not have the healthiest enamel. Sometimes his gums look a little inflamed, which also worries me. He used to smoke socially, but quit recently, so that's not contributing anymore. But even after brushing, his breath still smells unpleasant to me. I find it unbearable at times. I broke things off after the first time I got the ick, and we went back to being friends. Then, by chance, we bumped into each other again later on, spent some time together, and over weeks, the feelings slowly came back. I thought maybe I had overreacted before, that maybe it was just in my head, and we decided to give things another chance. But now, I feel like I'm back in the same place again. This isn't just about him. I've had this intense sensitivity to people's breath for as long as I can remember, and I strongly suspect it ties into my OCD. I have a long-standing obsession with my own breath and whether it's fresh enough. I go through an entire pack of chewing gum or mints in a single day, sometimes even more if I know I'll be in social situations. I've done this for years. My own oral hygiene routine is intense. I brush at least 3 times a day, after every meal, floss daily, scrape my tongue religiously, and I even use the Breath Co. mouthwash multiple times. I panic if I feel like my breath might smell bad. It's something I've obsessed over since childhood, and I know it stems from trauma. My mom has always had very bad breath, and growing up around that made me extremely self-conscious and fearful about it for myself and others. Now my boyfriend is staying with me. He traveled to visit and has been here for 10 days already, with no set exit date. And honestly, I'm struggling. I'm starting to feel absolutely repulsed by him again, and deep down, I know his breath is the main reason why. I don't want to kiss him. I don't even want to cuddle or touch him. We've only had sex once, on the first day he arrived, and ever since I've been avoiding intimacy because I just can't get past this. What's worse is that my frustration is seeping out in other ways. I've caught myself being short, irritable, and even mean to him at times without intending to be. Every time I feel terrible afterward and apologize, but I know he can feel the shift between us. I can see it hurting him, and that makes me feel guilty on top of everything else. Tonight was a perfect example of how deep this goes for me. I offered him a Mars bar, and he said, "No thanks, I just brushed my teeth." Then, after a pause, he changed his mind and said, "Actually, yeah, I'll have one." And without even thinking, I blurted out, "Okay, but can you brush your teeth again afterward so the sugar isn't sitting on your teeth overnight?" He looked surprised and said no, that it's fine to have chocolate once in a while, and it's not a big deal unless you make a habit of skipping brushing or if your teeth are already bad. I know logically he's right. Lots of people skip brushing occasionally and nothing terrible happens. But for me, the idea of going to bed without perfectly clean teeth is just impossible. I would never do it, and I can't understand how someone else can. To me, the thought of having chocolate sitting in my mouth all night feels unbearable. The irony here is almost surreal. He once told me that one of the reasons he ended things with his ex was because she had bad breath, and he lost attraction to her. He never told her, but he admitted it to me. I remember sitting there in disbelief because I wanted to scream, "Do you not realize how your breath smells to me?" And this is the part that breaks me, because aside from this, I do find him attractive. He's tall, has a great body, a handsome face, an amazing sense of humor, and genuinely one of the kindest, warmest hearts I've ever known. On paper, he's everything I want. But this one issue is becoming a wall I can't climb over. I don't know what to do. Do I sit him down and explain everything? My history, my OCD, my trauma, and why his breath is such a huge trigger for me? I'm terrified of hurting him. He's a sensitive, gentle man, and he takes things deeply to heart. But if I don't talk about it, I feel like my frustration and avoidance will keep growing until I push him away completely. Part of me wonders if this is something I need to work on myself. Maybe this is more about my OCD than about him. But another part of me feels like basic oral hygiene matters, and it wouldn't be unreasonable to ask him to floss, use mouthwash, and maybe even see a dentist if needed. I just don't know how to start that conversation without making him feel insulted or rejected. Right now, I'm torn between two fears. If I stay silent, my resentment will grow, and the attraction will keep fading. If I speak up, I might hurt his feelings so deeply that it damages our relationship anyway. I love so many things about him, but this one issue is consuming me to the point that I can't enjoy being close to him anymore. Next story. My partner and I have been together for about 1.5 years now. We're both living abroad in a different country and recently moved to a new city together, which has been exciting but also stressful. Moving somewhere new always comes with a lot of changes, new routines, new expenses, and new challenges. In many ways, I feel like we're still settling in, both individually and as a couple. Recently, though, something has been weighing on me heavily. My partner has gotten into financial difficulty, and it's starting to put strain on me emotionally, mentally, and even financially. Over the past several months, he's maxed out his credit card, about $10,000 USD, and has been struggling to manage the repayments. At first, I thought it was a temporary situation, and that he just needed a little help to get through a rough patch. But over the past 4 months, a pattern has formed. Every month, right before his credit card statement is due, he asks me to loan him money to cover the payment. Each time it's been between $2,000 and $3,000. I've lent him the money every single time. To be fair, he has always paid me back eventually, sometimes a few days later when his paycheck comes in. He works full-time and earns enough to cover his bills and debts, but he keeps telling me he needs my help to bridge the gap until payday. The thing is, I've never been the type of person who loans money to friends or family. It makes me incredibly anxious, and I usually avoid it entirely. But I love him, and because I care, I've been trying to support him through this. I wanted to be understanding of his situation and to trust that he'd work his way out of it. The problem is, I've also been very clear with him, multiple times, that I don't feel comfortable loaning him large amounts of money, especially several $1,000s at a time. I've told him that it stresses me out, that it makes me feel uneasy, and that it's not something I want to keep doing. Despite that, every month, almost like clockwork, I get a message the day before his statement is due. "Babe, can you send me $2K? I get paid on date." I always end up saying yes. And then afterward, I feel frustrated with myself for giving in again. It's like this cycle I can't seem to break. I want to be supportive, but I'm uncomfortable. I want to set boundaries, but I feel guilty saying no. I tell myself it's only temporary, but it keeps happening. It's not that I'm unwilling to help my partner financially. When it comes to things like rent, food, bills, or shared expenses, I have no problem contributing or even covering more if he's short. That's part of building a life together. But asking for thousands of dollars at once to pay down debt, especially on a recurring basis, feels completely different to me. It crosses a line I've tried to express to him multiple times. I do have enough savings to cover him when he asks, but I'm not wealthy by any means. Sending him this money repeatedly has started to make me anxious about my own financial stability. I'm constantly calculating what I can afford, wondering if I should tighten my own budget, and stressing over whether I'll regret helping him later. At the same time, saying no feels cruel because I know he's struggling, and I hate the idea of letting him down. Last night, he asked me for another $3,000, and I finally reached a breaking point. I took a deep breath and decided to bring up how I feel about all of this again. I wanted to communicate honestly, to explain that this has been really stressful for me and that I'm not comfortable continuing like this. But instead of having a calm discussion, it turned into an argument. He got defensive almost immediately. He told me I wasn't being understanding of his situation and accused me of overreacting. He said I was making it a bigger deal than it needs to be, and that it's all in my head. He insisted it's not a big deal because he always pays me back anyway. Then he said, "Fine, I'll just stop asking for money altogether." We were on the phone at the time. He's away for work right now. And before I could even respond or explain myself fully, he hung up on me mid-conversation. I just sat there staring at my phone afterward, feeling awful. Now I'm caught in this mess of emotions: guilt, sadness, frustration, and confusion. On one hand, I feel like I have every right to set boundaries around my finances, especially when I've explained my discomfort so many times already. On the other hand, I love him, and I hate feeling like I'm not supporting him enough. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm being too rigid, too sensitive about money. Maybe I should just trust him more since he always pays me back. But then another part of me can't shake this discomfort. Something about the recurring nature of these requests doesn't sit right with me. It makes me feel less like a partner and more like a safety net or a backup bank account, and I hate feeling that way. The guilt is eating at me right now. I want to be the best partner I can be for him. I want us to build a life together, especially since we've just started fresh in this new city. But this issue keeps resurfacing, and I honestly don't know how to navigate it without damaging our relationship. I feel stuck between two bad options: keep lending him money and ignore my own discomfort, hoping things eventually improve. Stand firm and say no, risk hurting him, and possibly create resentment or tension between us. Neither feels good. I guess what I really need is advice from people who've dealt with something similar. How do you set financial boundaries in a relationship without making your partner feel unsupported? How do you balance empathy for their situation with protecting your own peace of mind? And am I overreacting here? Or is it reasonable to feel uneasy about loaning someone thousands of dollars month after month? Right now, I just feel lost.